everybody, live, under the Net radio. This is your host, Tech, with co-host.
NSC Game Boy, what it is, what it do.
We also have live right now correspondent and videographer.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
We just waiting for you to say your name.
This is Sensational One, Shin Blade, correspondent for Under the Mat Radio.
Cool. Welcome, everybody.
We got to work on that. Yeah, we got to work on that.
We did. This title is called The Russian Bear Awakes. We'll have coming up at the top of the hour at 8 p.m. Legend of the business, former Canadian heavyweight champion, former WWF champion, and legend in the sport, the Russian Bear, Koloff, will be joining us. Also coming up momentarily, we will have host of another great wrestling podcast, In Your Head, will be Jackie Jones, will be joining us. And also coming up, we will be reviewing WWE's TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, and Stairs. Do not forget that. But, of course, you can follow follow the show at tech_UTMR on Twitter. You can follow NSC Game Boy at
NSC Game Boy, spelled correctly. You are right now. Spelled correctly.
You can follow Shin Blade at
Sensational One on Twitter. I will spell it at the end of the show.
Okay. Can't wait to the end of the show. With that being said, fans, if you want to call in and give your thoughts on tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs, and any other appliances or materials that you decide to use, call in 760-888-5749, 760-888-5749. As usual, we do a quick review. We'll let our correspondent run down the matches.
Well, for people that watch TLC, I would have to say that I was actually impressed because I had expectations pay-per-view. I don't know about you guys. What did you guys rate it?
It was better than I thought it would be. But it was all right.
It was.
Well, I will say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it was okay. It was a little better than Monday Night Raw, but that's not really saying much nowadays.
Yeah. Pretty much, we will go over the first match, which is the pre-show, and I know everybody of color was retching when it came to this match. At least one of the teams. It was the New Day versus Stardust and Goldust, the Dust Brothers. And I actually forget what combination of the New Day did this match.
I think it was Kofi. If I'm right, it was Kofi. Was it Kofi? It was Kofi or Wiz? I think it was Kofi.
I don't know. I didn't see the pre-match.
I believe it was Kofi.
Yeah, that shows just how relevant it was. I didn't even see the pre-match, so sorry, folks.
All right, I'm looking it up right now. I'm Wikipediaing it, so I didn't write notes down this weekend. This is how much I cared less. It was Big E and Kofi Kingston. Xavier Woods is at ringside.
Ooh.
So they beat Gold and Stardust, which was okay, but you know what I said about New Day. I think everybody knows what we all said about New Day. So we'll just move right along. The first match was an exciting kickoff to the show. It was the ladder match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, which Dolph Ziggler in his hometown got a huge pop, defeated Luke Harper. Now, this match, as far as the finish, I was actually surprised because I thought Luke was going over, but apparently Dolph did. And to tell you the truth, I was shocked because there was blood in this match. Just like NXT. You know how they do, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll let the NSC Game Boy give his thoughts on the ladder match first.
In my opinion, that was the match of the night. I wasn't too shocked because I'm a big Dolph Ziggler fan. Dolph came, he's like the next coming of Shawn Michaels in my opinion. Came, very exciting match. Made it very believable with some of the setups they did with the ladder. Because, I mean, we've seen so many ladder matches. How much with a ladder can you do? I was very impressed with that. And I also was shocked too, Shin, at the end that he got over and actually won back his Intercontinental belt. Just great match, great pop. Being in his hometown and everything. I hope that Ziggler keep up the momentum for next year. I would like to see him in WrestleMania because I'm a big Ziggler fan. So.
Tech.
Well, like I said, like NXT Game Boy mentioned, and I mentioned before that it was the match of the night for me, surprisingly, because we all know how good Ziggler is in the ring. Harper's very good, but at first I was kind of worried about being a ladder match between Harper and Ziggler, but the match was very good. We did get to see a lot of blood the hard way. This wasn't any blading or any of them cutting. People actually got busted open and was cut in a lot of random places, like Harper was bleeding out his armpit for some reason. But very good match, huge pop for Ziggler. And through the middle of the match, I already had a feeling that Ziggler was going to go over and win the title, which kind of makes sense of why they gave it to Harper, I guess, to kind of make it more important for Ziggler to win it in his hometown. Like I said, it was a good, very good match of the night for me.
All right, we move on to the next match, which I have to say also I was shocked by the ending too, because I was expecting a turn to happen, but it didn't. It was the tag team match for the tag team championship, the little penny belts, what I call them. It would be the Usos. They beat Miz and Mizdow by disqualification. Your thoughts?
I'm a fan of the Usos to a certain extent. I think that they're very energetic, very athletic group, but to me they kind of stale. They do the same stuff, and I don't want to be a hypocrite and say I'm a fan of them because I'm not a fan of John Cena because he do the same stuff. You know what I mean? I would like to see them actually kind of change up some of their routine. I really wasn't a fan of this match. I was looking for the turn myself also, especially by it being the end of the year. Next pay-per-view, Royal Rumble, that would set it up, but I didn't. But, I mean, what more can you say? These guys have wrestled each other like at least 8 or 9 times now. Before the Stardust gimmick came, they were still wrestling each other as Cody and Goldust. So, I mean, you've seen it before. You've seen it once, you've seen it before, so whatever.
Well, I mean,
Tech?
the good thing about this match is that it Mizdow in it. I mean, the Usos, good young talents, and I know a lot of times we always talk and sometimes joke about black wrestlers being stereotyped. A lot of times we forget the Samoans. Every Samoan that wrestles has to do a Samoan drop or a big splash off the top rope. So the Usos are a good team, and they appeal to the full kids, which is good. But what made the match was Mizdow. I love the angle. Not a big fan of the Miz as of late. Everyone knows that. But it takes two to make a tag team successful. And sorry, I'm not a big fan of the Miz, but I love Mizdow. So I knew the turn wasn't going to come. And if you look by the history of WWE lately, they tend to start those turns or splits around this time at the Rumble, which I don't know, Mizdow could, eliminate the Miz from the Rumble, however that may lead. But my only fear, real quick, of this is, as great as this angle is between Mizdow and Miz, what happens to Damien Sandow once they split up?
Right.
So,
well, personally, I've been saying that. Personally, I've been saying that with Sandow, he should go back to the unwashed savior of the masses or whatever you want to call him. But it's like, how do you get back to that point?
Well, I think if they break up, it's going to be Miz versus Miz. I mean, I think that's what they're going to do. Mizdow is saying he's a better Miz than the actual real-life Miz, which is sad because he's actually true. like I personally think is actually better than the actual real copy of the person.
Yeah, Game Boy, that is hashtag that awkward moment. So with that, I mean, I also have to say that now you see on Raw and the latest SmackDowns that Miz is trying to cool his, cool the pop that Sandow's getting. So you kind of see that kind of like it's all about me, get out my way, and everything of that nature. Even when Mizdow sells his moves on singles matches, but next up is the match which I call the Ty and All PM match of the night, which it can be disputable with another match, and that was the Steel Stairs match, which it should be Steel Steps match. The Big Show defeated Eric Rowan by pinning him with the stairs. I have nothing positive to say about it. Uh, Eric Rowan's weaknesses were exposed during that match. It was a lot of mediocre spots. So I could have cared less. I was on Twitter like all through the match. So, your thoughts?
I really
That's the game, boy.
didn't feel emotionally connected to this match. It's no disrespect to the Big Show, but I really don't feel connected with his matches because he's, you look at him and he's a big guy. You expect him to just run over top of somebody, and then when you got somebody like Eric Rowan, who is a tall guy, not a big guy, but he's a tall guy of size, it's hard to see two big guys really have a very a great match. You know what I mean? Especially using the steel stair steps, whatever you want to call it. I mean, to me, it was just.
I believe it's.
It didn't make any sense. It was more of a filling match than anything. Tech.
Like as NXT Game Boy mentioned a lot, Tylenol PM. I know Shane. I know you mentioned how it showed the weaknesses of Rowan, and do you remember Rowan is still kind of fairly new to the main roster, and that's why you pay him with the legends like Big Show. Of course, I like Big Show back when he was medium show in WCW, or when he mattered at all. It's my opinion is, what did it matter for why did Big Show have to go over? Why not have Rowan go over? Big Show's been there going on 20-something years. He's just there. There's nothing else he can. He's done everything there is to do. So Big Show losing wasn't necessarily going to hurt his career or his legendary spot in the business. Why not have Rowan win? It is something that big ups to our good old buddy, my cousin the Chuckster, mentioned is, okay, you hit
What?
Rowan with big ups to my cousin Chuck. He mentioned this good point watching the match. Is he said, okay, Big Show hits Rowan with steel steps, but he kicks out, but yet the knuckle punch is stronger than steel steps. It's a good point.
So now we have to have.
You hit him, man.
So now we have to have Big Show punch steel steps just like Street Fighter with a car.
Yes.
Oh God, that wouldn't work either. Yeah, that's just crazy. That little boxing thing that him and Sheamus went through 2 years ago. Now let's wake up from this match, and this was to me, it was one of the shockers of the night because this match didn't main event, and that was John Cena and Seth Rollins in a tables match with J&J Security. So for those who don't know, if Cena lost this match, he would have no longer been number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. I was shocked that this match did not end the show because Cena always ends the show. But I could have cared less for this match. I mean, I think personally we knew that Seth Rollins wasn't going over, so we were just trying to see like what is he like with main event talent. I'm a fan of Seth Rollins, but now he's getting stale to me because for the past 3 weeks or maybe even 4 weeks, he comes out there crying about the Authority needs to come back and Sting, and things like that. So I'm kind of distancing my way away from the character. You guys?
Actually, I kind of disagree. I see where you can feel the discomfort with him. But I think he's setting himself as to be a really good heel. There's not too many really, really good heels left in the company besides all the new guys like Rusev and himself and all the other heels are either old, like Randy Orton and them and stuff, or they gone, like Sheamus, injured and everything. But I like the fact that he's trying to keep Sting alive in people's thoughts because he came and he left. The only thing that kind of worried me with this match was I already knew the ending. We all knew that Brock Lesnar was going to wrestle for the belt at at Royal Rumble, with John Cena. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the drawback of giving him the belt in the first place. We already know when he's going to wrestle. We know his schedule just as much as that he knows his schedule. So thanks to the internet and social media, we all knew that John Cena was going to miraculously win because he got to wrestle Brock Lesnar. And by it being the beginning of the 6 months renewal subscription, what better time to do it is around January, where the Royal Rumble. Because remember, the last 6 months was August, where it was SummerSlam. We got that great SummerSlam match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so they know what they're doing. I mean, this is business now. Game Boy talking right now. I know business. So this is the best way to serve it. The last chapter, quote unquote, after they already wrestled 2 years ago, 5, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? They said the last chapter was Orton and Cena, and you know where that went bad. So whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
just
go ahead, Zach.
side note, breaking news. Just to remind people that the boy NXT Game Boy knows business. Tech knows business. I'm sure the Sensational One knows business in the area. So even though we do talk about wrestling a lot, we do joke and play. At the end of the day, we do know what we're talking about, how things need to be run. Just wanted to add a little disclaimer, if you will, just so people don't think we're just random people.
Yeah, but then again, like we like to be proven wrong every now and then, like be surprised.
You forgot what company you talking about.
This is WWE. They don't really.
Yeah.
My thoughts.
I forgot. Okay.
This match. I was watching with Ghetto Tony. Shout out to Ghetto Tony. Watching the Chuckster. MD Nice, Maryland Nice, joking around, and big ups to Light Skin Ross, part of Under the Mask Security, who's been under the weather. He wasn't, of course, here, but he watched at his home. Thing I didn't get, I was a little shocked that they didn't main event this match, but then it kind of made sense because this is called TLC, and you want to main event the pay-per-view or whatever you call monthly special with the match that goes with the theme of the show. But this match went on way too long. I didn't know Roman Reigns was going to come back this early, but eventually you just knew it was way too long. Cena went through no tables. Seth Rollins went through 3. It's like Cena was like impervious, almost like Superman again. Like you can't beat 3-on-1 Cena beats. And if you looked at that table, it was sitting in the corner for like 30 minutes. So right when Big Show downloaded in the match, we was like, okay. And then you hear Roman Reigns music. Oh, okay. Well, this is why the table's here because Roman Reigns is going to do a little Super Saiyan, little level up, and then do the spear.
Actually, Cena did go through a table. I give that a half point though that he did. It was
count.
like they tried to make it like the Hulk Hogan Paul Orndorff cage match where both gonna hit the floor. But you're right. This went on too long. I think at least for a John Cena match, 15 minutes would have been long enough. And Roman Reigns did come back, but I hate to be the hater or whatever you call it, but I really didn't care. Roman Reigns, except for the looks that the women like, he has really nothing to move me except for his some of his wrestling strength and everything. He's basically he took everything that the 2 other members of the Shield dropped. He took the music, he took the gear, enhanced it, and pretty much Jinko jeans or whatever you want to call it, and just made it. And now I got to the point where a lot of people on social media were against him for making Superstar of the Year, which we could all care less. But with his track record in the past year, he deserved it, though. But let's not bore people anymore. This match was another shocker to me.
So tired of the spear.
Yeah, like Edge
Actually,
did
one
it.
more spear. Well, Edge was a running hug.
Okay, what about Rhino?
Let's be real here. I mean, much of the Edge, I always like Edge since he debuted. It was a running hug. I mean, that finisher, was it really believable that Edge could beat you with a spear? He's beat Big Show with the spear. He's beat Cena. He doesn't have the body type to do the spear. It's not believable. It's a running hug.
Well, in sports entertainment, yes, you can do that. You got to remember, it's not wrestling. It's sports
That's
entertainment.
right. And also
wrestling was last Thursday at the NXT special.
Oh yeah,
that was wrestling.
Or Impact.
This is
or
sports entertainment, so yes, it's believable.
And the Lucha
also, and Lucha Underground. Because also in sports entertainment, you cannot be knocked out cold by a bottle of water.
An open bottle of water at that.
Yeah, open bottle of water at that. I see if it's
frozen.
But a bottle of water that's room temperature and it's already half full. We digress.
We'll put that on MythBusters in the future. I mean, we did talk about it over the weekend.
Yeah, we could.
Which I want to get to real quick. Next match was a shocker to me. It was Nikki Bella and AJ Lee for the Divas Championship. Now, as far as the Divas Championship is concerned, this was actually a good match as far as WWE Divas wrestling. The end of it involved hairspray, AJ Lee in her eyes, and she lost. So I'm guessing, and this is my prediction, they're going to fight again next month at the Royal Rumble, but this time it's going to be a hairspray versus Z-Pack match, if anybody gets the joke.
Yeah, sure. I mean, do we really need to talk anymore about this match?
I'm done.
Yeah, moving on.
All right, moving on.
It was better than
AJ Lee for making her look good. Yeah, I will say that. Shout out to AJ Lee for making Nikki Bella look believable.
Well,
Punk, you done well. I can see your work. You talking to your wife and giving her notes and stuff. I can see she's understanding the business and her character. She's really developing her character. I can see CM Punk talking to her and hey, do this, do that, da-da-da. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also he gave her the pipe bomb, which she said last week that talent doesn't come sexually transmitted, which was a pipe bomb. If anybody got that one.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good.
Oh man.
So that was petty though. Next match, and excuse my language, kids, when I say this, was the chairs match, which was Corporate Kane. I don't know why he's still corporate. He should go back to Demon Kane, fighting Mr. Huh?
He shouldn't. He should just be.
Yeah, he shouldn't.
He shouldn't even call himself Kane no more. He should just call himself K. Corporate K.
Yeah, pretty much.
With the widow's speak.
Yeah. He looks like Bull from Night Court.
Yeah, he do. He does. He does look like Bull from
I posted a picture a while ago.
Remember the theme song?
Oh God.
What up, dude? Larry Cat? What was his name?
John Larroquette.
Fans, we're talking about Night Court. Shows how much we cared about this match. Good show. Big ups to Harry Anderson. He was the judge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, her and was the black cop. What was her name?
Marsha Warfield.
See, he sure knows his stuff. Night Court.
Hey, we all 80s babies.
No, I'm about to say, we all 80s.
Yeah, we all 80s.
So let me reiterate that again. Corporate K went against Mr. I'm Dumb as Fuck Ryback in a chairs match. Again, thank you. I will say that this was a half step better than the stairs match. This is debatable. Don't quote me on that.
Wait, breaking news. Wasn't Larry Sanders in Night Court too?
What? No. I don't know. I'm on Night Court run.
Go ahead. I forgot you.
Fans hate us now. Yeah. Fans who like TLC hate us now, which is like two people.
Really, TLC.
Okay, next match. Well, TLCS. Next match, which was a squash match, which I don't know why they put it up here because they gave the challenger a fighting chance during the promos and SmackDown and everything. But everybody wanted to see the manager. Rusev with Lana beat Jack Swagger by submission. Now, this match should have been more than what it was. I think it was rushed. They gave Jack Swagger the upper hand to think that he can beat Rusev, and Rusev just squashed him. And pretty much, I really don't care.
Hennessy Game Boy, your thoughts?
No, he don't have no thoughts.
Oh,
no comment.
Big ups too. We forgot for Night Court. Charles Robinson, the other black guy.
This is Night Court and the Russian Bear.
You're talking about an 80s sitcom.
I have no thoughts on this match. That's why I'm bringing up Night Court again.
All right.
Add some more facts to Night Court too.
Since you're doing that, we're gonna move on to the main event, which is the TLC match, which is Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, tables, ladders, and chairs match, which Bray Wyatt beat the Titty Master by exploding TV.
Oh yeah.
Your thoughts?
Honestly, in the PGR of TLC and S, this is probably the best ending that you're going to get out of this whole pay-per-view. Because what else could they do to each other without gushing too much blood or really injuring themselves in the actual TLC match? Because with the PGR, this is the best you're going to get. Like, think about it. Even though it didn't make any sense, because when have you ever seen a monitor just... Now, I'm in electronics. I used to fix refrigerators and toasters and VCRs and stuff back in the 90s when I was a teenager and a kid. I have never yanked out something of appliance and they explode on me. Do you think that the manufacturers would even allow that to go into consumers' homes? If you can yank it out, you can vacuum your floor and yank a cord out and it will explode. Your children can yank out something and it will explode. Really? And people sitting up there like, yeah, that really can happen. Oh, y'all, that's stupid. like, I'm sitting here and I'm reading comments and stuff from wrestling fans, and they really like, well, I can see that happening. I'm like, really? What?
I didn't believe that either.
I have thrown stuff out the window, radios and appliances and stuff when I was a kid, just joking around, and they didn't even explode. Like, it's like mind-boggling, and they really think that. If you really believe that, then give me your flat screen televisions and donate all of your Blu-ray DVDs and stuff. I will take all your appliances that you don't need anymore. And
HD
all the new stuff. If you believe that your appliance can explode, then I'll keep it for safekeeping. And trust me, if you ever need it back, then I'll tell you shouldn't have it because it might explode on you. What the, really? Like, people that PGR. Like, think about it. What other ending could they give in the PGR?
I think the element of surprise, that's the part that got to me. The element of surprise got to me, but I actually believe that because I have yanked many vacuum cleaners out the socket when I was finished. Vacuum cleaners.
Why are you so angry against
Did it blow up on you?
No, it didn't. It was like, it never happened. It only happens if you stick a fork in the electric socket and you get shot, but you don't blow up. I've never seen anything. I've never seen anything blow up unless you rig it to blow up.
Exactly.
Keep it going, guys.
Exactly. If you rig it to blow up or something, then I can understand the notion. You feel me? Like, before the match, they did a segment where Bray Wyatt snuck into a closet with the monitors or something. Okay, you know what I mean? You can kind of, put two and two together. Not, Ambrose takes the monitor, about to hit. Really? And they explode?
The wires were still attached to it.
I'm like, he ain't Jeff Hardy. Like, what? Why did they write that? Like, this is, but kids. Like I say, this is the PGR. Kids believe the sports entertainment, and in entertainment, oh my God, it exploded and he was blinded by the light and all that. Okay.
Well, really, I will say this. I thought it was a reality error, but I guess with CM Punk gone, they got to go back to PG. Um, the say with the exploding monitor, shout out to Evan Ginsberg who said this on Facebook. I think personally, it just made him look dumb, like Wile E. Coyote type thing to go down. Because personally, I thought maybe like Bray Wyatt could have pulled one of his dark tricks or something, and then Dean Ambrose just loses. I can understand that. But an exploding television with the wire still attached under the ring, it just made him look like a cartoon character. And for Dean Ambrose to be like a CZW alumni, it made that part made his personality look weak. Like he is just as dumb as ever to finish a match. He'll do anything. He will waterboard himself even if it means to beat the other person. So I did not get that match. Period. Like I get the fact of beating the hell out of each other, but not an exploding TV. And I will say, when I saw it, I had that shock. I had that shock value. Like, what in the hell happened? So I have to
like
take a point away from it.
Yeah,
it was.
Insult. Like, really? This is something I expect from 1993 WWF Superstars or something. This is something I would expect from that.
With Hulk Hogan and the flashbulbs?
Yeah, that's something I would expect from that. You know what I mean? Like, didn't y'all learn with the flash paper and WCW with Hogan and didn't y'all learn your lesson from that? Yeah, with Austin Boy and the flash paper, didn't y'all learn your lesson like that? That stuff doesn't. The only time it ever worked, and I seen it kind of work successfully, was the Jeff Hardy thing when he was doing the pyro and it. Okay, all right.
I'm back, guys.
That technically can happen. That happened to Michael Jackson. So you can kind of, you can kind of give that, but not no explode, Mom. Really?
Now
I'm waiting for the Acme truck to come past and just say meet or something like that. And,
yeah. Now I will
apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I will say this. Excuse me?
Yeah, I was saying, do apologize. I just wanted to because Ivan Koloff just confirming. He just wanted to confirm to let everybody know he will be calling in at 8:00.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, all right. Let me close this off real quick. The pay-per-view was average, but you want to Game Boy. You want to talk about intelligence insulted? The Fallout show was more insulting than the finish. It was nothing but what happened. It was nothing but what happened. 5 minutes talking about the pay-per-view, and that was it. Usually the Fallout, and I liked the Fallout from what was it, Extreme Rules when the Shield, when they had conferences. I liked that, but I don't know if the budget took away from that. They had no backstage interviews. They had nothing to show what a Fallout. It was not even a Fallout. It was more like a fall whatever. It was. And probably I got to find it on YouTube because I haven't been up there lately. So that was just it. But let's move on to the Royal Rumble, please.
Wait. You ain't about to move on. I ain't get my opinion yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, hold on. Before you give your opinion, can I say one thing? No. Shout out to Booker T for his little moment. I think when Paul Heyman said the comment about I wouldn't discuss bedroom things about your wife or something if I was you.
Oh.
And the moment that he gave to him was was so epic. If you can go back and watch that one second, that part was so epic because you seen the black man come out of Booker T, and you rarely see him do that. But that was just one of them nigga moments where he just like, you ever seen? that part was hilarious to me. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Tat.
Well, real quick, I'm gonna give my opinion on TLC. Real quick, I'm gonna bring in our first host, and I'll give my opinion on TLC, and then see if one of our brothers in the business want to give his opinion. Bringing in now, live, is Jackie Jones, one of the hosts of In Your Head Wrestling Podcast. Welcome to Under the Mat Radio.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Hey, I like his voice. You got to get that announcer voice.
Well, I've been listening to In Your Head for the last 5 years, he always had that.
Oh, yeah, he definitely has. And do you want to say, Jackie Jones, we are fans of your show. I know you're award-winning show as well, so we definitely want to give you and your show big props as being one of the good shows out there with good guests,
well,
too.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I
Repeat that
appreciate
again?
that.
Oh,
I appreciate that. Thanks. You've been doing it since 2005 in your head. And, so 2015 be the 11th year of the show.
wow, that's great.
Okay.
It is great. Shows a lot of longevity. It is.
Yeah.
Real quick, want to give my thoughts about the main event real quick, and Jackie Jones, if you want to give your quick thoughts to TLC, that's fine. Like I said, the main event was okay. I thought it was a good match. I just think they did the spots too much. I mean, how many times we gonna see Dean Ambrose do an elbow drop off the ladder on Bray Wyatt? I would have, and that's something that Bruce Hart, me and him talked about also on his show on Sunday night. Is I would rather Dean Ambrose do the elbow drop off the tallest ladder and have him do other spots off the top. But like NXT Game Boy said, you work with electronics. You know, a lot of people say, was it real? Did Dean Ambrose really get it? No, he didn't. I like how it was surprising, you know, and people were just looking like, oh my gosh, is he okay? It was a surprising ending, but overall, I thought the match was good. It was good to see a non-Cena main event for a pay-per-view. It was good to see. Jackie Jones, what was your thoughts on TLC?
Yeah, you know, I saw mostly people really negative on it online on Facebook, and so I didn't get to see it live, but I saw it, you know, on the network, the replay, and I avoided the spoilers, but I saw these negative comments about it, so I expect it to be very bad. But I enjoyed the whole show, even the matches that I wasn't really expecting a lot from. They were fine, like, you know, Big Show and Rowan. Not like this a fantastic match or anything, but you know, it was fine for what it was. But I thought the opening the ladder match with Ziggler was great, and I thought the Cena match was really good. I'm not a big Cena fan, but that was a good match, and it's kind of overbooked or whatever, but it was still fun, and I liked the main event. The very end with the monitor exploding, you know, it's a little sillier or whatever, but hey, it's wrestling. I think you should have a little bit of craziness in the matches sometime, and it's something you don't see on regular Raw. You know, a lot of the matches with weapons and whatnot. So overall, I thought it was a good pay-per-view.
Actually, Jack, if you would, I would like to hear your analysis of the chairs match. Not the chairs match, but the steps match, as it correctly should be called, because I personally didn't get it. You know, I think it was just something for Big Show and Rowan to do.
Yeah, well, you know, it was probably better than if they just had Big Show and Rowan just have a match. It's probably not going to be very good. So, just two big dudes just hitting each other with steps. Is it a great match? Not really, but it was probably more interesting than just watching Rowan and Big Show trying to have, like, you know, a 15-minute wrestling match.
Well, you know, to tell you the truth,
funny that they put Rowan with Big Show, because really, like, the only thing that guy really has going for him, you know, is he's very big, and then he feuds with like the only guy in the company that's bigger than him.
Well, to tell you the truth, I saw two things from this match. I saw one which was obvious to everyone, where they had stairs everywhere around the arena, steps, excuse me, and he set it up like a bowling alley, and I think Big Show knocked Rowan into him like bowling and pins and everything. And to me, you know, with Big Show and Rowan, it was just like the equivalent of watching two bears fight over fish. You know, with a red bear versus a grizzly bear. You know.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever gonna get like this 5-star classic match out of Eric Rowan and Big Show. So you might as well just have them just beat each other up with some steps. I think that was just pretty much the idea.
Real quick, Jackie Jones, breaking news. Night Court, Selma Diamond is another
Oh my God,
the
really?
Night Court series. Jackie Jones, you get a chance to listen early. We was talking about the stairs match, and my great co-host, we tend to use the term Tylenol PM for matches that just doesn't matter. So the fact that the stairs match really was just a waste of time. We just decided to keep talking about other 80s sitcoms that we enjoyed as kids.
That was a chairs match.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say this was like this great match or anything, but My expectations for it were actually a lot lower than what it was. But I mean, it's nothing you need to go out of your way to say to go see. Man, I really need to see Eric Rowan in that Big Show match.
Well, Jackie, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I want to know this. We all knew that, of course, John Cena was going to win his match somehow, some way, because of the whole contract deal that they have with Brock Lesnar being at Royal Rumble. Do you think that with the social media and us fans and everybody know about this contract agreement with WWE, that it kind of just spoiled the match even more because you already know he's supposed to be set to wrestle John Cena, of course, again for the belt?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think I've mentioned this before, just on Facebook and whatnot, that sometimes you can kind of like smart yourself out of enjoying like a show. But even without like knowing like the inside stuff with Brock Lesnar's contract, I think it was kind of like pretty much you knew Cena was going to win, just even storyline wise, because you knew he was going to face him for the title, but unless he lost, and then like he lost his number one contendership. But it was never like if he lost, then that Rollins got the shot. I don't think it was just if he lost the number one contendership. But then who would face him? So I thought it's pretty obvious that Cena was going to win. I thought the match itself was good, but I think at this point in time it really is starting to hurt the pay-per-views that Brock Lesnar isn't, or the champion isn't on all of them, because It's just a bunch of matches without there's no all these matches are fine. They're really, like the main event was good and stuff, but it's not for a title or anything. It seems like, I know it was cool that someone else besides Cena was on the main event, but when it's not for the world title, it seems like a very strange match, just the main event of the show.
Now, Jack, I have a question for you, and I think a couple of people agree with me, some people don't agree with me. But Brock Lesnar being champion and not being on TV, period, I think it devalues the title belt because, and to bring up Mr. Post-it Note, CM Punk, he had said that when you're the world champion, the show should start and end about you because you're on top. Now, what I believe that instead of being at home eating his Jimmy John's and watching old UFC fights and banging his wife Sable, I think personally that at least, for the very least, that if Brock Lesnar does not wrestle, and it's been past 30 days, if Brock Lesnar does not wrestle at the pay-per-view, I think he should have like a club box somewhere to know that, to tell fans that your champion is still here and still around and, should be feared and everything. Now, with the exception of the Survivor Series last month because of the whole Authority storyline, do you actually believe that Brock Lesnar should still keep an on-screen presence in order to keep the belt up as well as his integrity?
Yeah, there's a couple things there. I don't think he necessarily has to be on every Raw.
No.
I don't mind the championship belt only defended on the pay-per-view. I think that actually brings importance to the title. When I was a kid, like, you never saw Hulk Hogan, defending the title on TV. You had to either go see him at a show or buy one of the pay-per-views or maybe on Saturday night's main event. But he still seemed important, and they still talked about him on the show, and you knew everyone on the show is fighting, trying to get a shot at the title. And so even if he's not on the actual Raw every week, I think that's fine, but he should definitely be on the pay-per-views. And I actually totally agree, too, about Survivor Series, because there was stuff going on there where you didn't really miss the title match. But when you have, like, 2 or 3 other pay-per-views with no title match and, like, really no one even talking about it necessarily, it's totally the whole show seems less important, because it's like, in a way, why are the guys even fighting each other if they're not even trying to get the title and the title's not even there? It just makes the show what is the point of the show? You would think when you had the world title on the show, they would like elevate the tag belts and the IC belt and make those seem important, but they haven't at all.
Right, and do you know, Jack, that like you said, the WWE title, World Heavyweight title, whatever you want to call it, has not been on TV in over 90 days. That's past the probation period for a new job. Nor have we seen the WWE champion at all. So like you said, they're fighting over a championship. They're fighting over someone who we don't know when we're gonna see again.
Also, the 30-day rule that was implemented back in the NWA days and maybe WWF days, that it was that they had to defend that title whenever. I mean, I guess Hulk Hogan was
just
the exception to the
WCW.
rule. It was
It was just
WCW
WCW.
individually?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a TV.
Well,
It was a TV storyline. WWF never used it, but
well,
And
you know,
common sense should make you use it though.
But
well,
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
isn't that line storyline they took the title from Daniel Bryan because they said he couldn't defend it 30 days?
see, and
That was,
to tell you
you
the
know,
truth, yeah, and to tell you the truth, Dean Ambrose defended the U.S. title more times than Brock Lesnar had the world title.
mm. And you know the NXT, I don't know what you call it, call it pay-per-view, but the special show or whatever last week, Our Evolution. And you don't even look at the matches themselves, which are really good in the show. The NXT show does a much better job at making all the titles seem very important. Pretty much everyone in the show is trying to get the title. That's like the main goal. And all the wins and losses seem important. Just a guy winning a match seems like a big deal in NXT. And I don't know why that isn't part of Raw. It just seems like, or WWE, the main show, it just seems like basic common sense that the point of the show itself is you're trying to win the world title.
Well, I think the reason why it's like this is because you got Hollywood writers writing wrestling, and they don't know anything about wrestling like that. You know, they watched probably wrestling on TV, but they don't know about booking and carrying a storyline or even a match. Some guys just gel very well, you know, and us being in the business, we've been behind closed doors at matches and, you know, at shows, and you know, guys have admitted, like, hey, man, you know, when I wrestled him, you know, like, we just tore the house down, and, you know, they never expected it. And that's something that a writer was supposed to take into consideration and say, you know, hey, you know, one way down the world, you know, we can put y'all two in a match, and I know that y'all gel together, y'all work well together, so that can help bring out a great match. But no, you got these Hollywood writers who sit up here and put bunnies, in matches.
fuzzy
on Raw.
Grumpy Cat.
Yeah, and Grumpy Cat and stuff like that. I mean, I know he's competing with Monday Night Football and everything, but Monday Night Football ends in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Football season is about to go into playoffs, so Monday Night Football is done. So now you're going into the new fiscal year, you're going to the new year in business and everything. Your stockholders and all, I'm looking at y'all, and they're like, okay, what are y'all doing in order to make new subscribers or to keep your show fresh? Because
that's four strikes right there.
You would think so, even if you didn't understand wrestling, and you would think just like the very basic knowledge of any type of sport is that the guys are going for the championship. Even football, the teams try to win each so they can get into the playoffs, so they can then win the Super Bowl. That anything you watch, boxing, anything, people are trying to win so they can go for the championship. So you would think even just the basic core knowledge of how any sport would win, because wrestling is supposed to. Obviously, we don't think it's an actual legit sport, but within the story of the show you're watching, the wrestlers themselves are portraying people that are in a sport and trying to win championships. So you would think just that basic concept would be easy to understand. Now there'd be a lot of other nuances and things that maybe someone out of wrestling, would have to learn to really get wrestling. But you would think just the basic idea of people wanting to win so they can get a championship would just be common knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's
But to your great point, Jack, the NXT it's funny because now in wrestling, and I said this last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know if people remember, but I said that why in the world that when Raw is on the air or SmackDown is on the air, we can care less about it. But when NXT has been a WWE product, when NXT comes in, we're rushing home to watch it. And the thing is that somebody came up to me and said that the thing with NXT is they have one writer on the show that writes everything. The people who write Raw and SmackDown is 10 people. Excuse me?
I think actually in the recent, I think Vince said it was 26 writers.
See?
Well, with that, and at that point it's true, but we also have to remember, number one, and the reason why everybody rush over NXT. NXT is fresh and new. It's different from WWE. So people want to rush home to that, and like Jack said, it makes it so everybody is important, every match is important, like WWE used to do for their main shows. Raw's 3 hours, a lot of filler, a lot of promos and talking and unfunny angles and whatnot.
Funny.
So SmackDown, no one watches SmackDown anymore. Number one, it's live tonight, but it's recorded. You can get the spoilers. You can probably download an early episode of SmackDown if you want to, and it's not a lot of emphasis on SmackDown shows. You don't see any of the top guys show up on SmackDown like they used to. Back in the day when SmackDown came on, I'm sure Jack remembers this, and we all do, is SmackDown used to be treated as the number 2 show, or just as big as Raw. Big Show, The Rock, Triple H, Austin, everybody was on the show. It was, SmackDown was like whatever happened on Raw, you got to watch SmackDown to see the carryover. Now,
well, actually, with brand extension.
Hold on real quick. It's the truth is, when was the last time you actually cared to watch SmackDown? You actually rushed home to watch SmackDown. Jack, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, when they created SmackDown, the idea of it was that was going to be like The Rock's show. Was like, Raw would be Austin's show and SmackDown would be the show that The Rock was like portrayed on, and it was like that for a while. It was, like you said, it was important and things happened on there. And when Paul Heyman was booking it, for that period is actually more entertaining than Raw was. But for like the past several years, it's really just been a show you don't need to watch at all.
Well, 2002.
Real quick, Shane, go ahead.
2002, that was the year that SmackDown was the best show on air. And that was the brand extension because, Paul Heyman, and he admitted it in his DVD, he was writing for it, and everybody rushed home for it. The only SmackDown I can remember that I actually enjoyed was when Evolution was against the Shield, and on Raw, everybody beat up the Shield, and on SmackDown, the Shield came back to beat up everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was really just because the Shield was so good, and then you just get to see more of the Shield. Wasn't necessary. I think that SmackDown was a great show.
And by any chance, talking about the pay-per-view, here's a good question for you, and Vince McMahon probably can answer it more than anybody, but where the hell was Cesaro at all this? When's the last time he been relevant?
Yeah, it's really weird because if you go back to when they were the Un-Americans, and it was like you watch those guys and you think, well, clearly Cesaro's the star of this group. And then when they built up to when he body slammed Big Show over the top rope at WrestleMania, that was like a really cool moment, and like everyone was strongly behind him. And now you go 6 months or whatever in the future, and Swagger is actually more over the two, which is sad. And it's so weird that the guy, it was like he had all this momentum. And I think it was just obvious he was going to turn into a babyface. Everyone liked him, and he made a very strange turn. He went from heel to heel. He left Zeb and then went to Paul Heyman. So he didn't even turn babyface. He went heel to heel, and then so then people still didn't like. And then they tried to go out of the way to get people to boo him. And the whole time he's with Paul Heyman, and I think Paul Heyman's great. He's the best modern manager. But the whole time it was all about Paul Heyman. When he'd come out with Cesaro, all he talked about was Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker. So it really just made Cesaro look like the secondary guy, and who cares about him?
Right.
Very.
Real quick, Jack. I know we running short on time. I know we caught up talking about the pay-per-view or not. You are host of another show also, of In Your Head. You've been around for 11 years. If you can, real quick, let us know a quick synopsis of your show. What makes your show different? Let us know how your show came about and what you got coming up.
All right. Well, yeah, we start. This really predates podcasts. At the time, there weren't there wasn't even a term podcast, and so anyway, it was me, 1 Inch Biceps, and Barbie Richards from England, and we started the show. And it was basically like now, like podcasts is fans of wrestling, talking about wrestling, and we started getting guests. And I think really like any show, anyone can. This isn't to downgrade anybody, but anyone could do a show if they want to. But really, what makes people like it or dislike it, I think, are the hosts. And I think people like the interaction with 1 Inch Biceps and myself, and we don't necessarily take it really seriously, but we have fun on this show, and people seem to enjoy it. And I think the guests always have a good time on the show, so if you guys want to check it out, it's iWatchWrestling.com. Was on Wednesdays, but now we're on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8:05 p.m. Eastern. I don't know who we have coming up, but we just had Black Bart on the show and Mantar.
Wow.
Great Mantar. Yes. But actually, honestly, it's always fun for me to find some of the more obscure guys that you don't necessarily hear a lot from and find out what their story is. But there's been a lot of big guests on the show. Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. Ivan Koloff, I know you guys are having on here. He was on the show before, and so that's a great guest, Ivan Koloff.
Yeah,
looking forward to that one.
Cool. NC Game Boy, any last question for Jack before we let him go?
Well, my last question is it has really nothing to do with wrestling. It actually has to do with our show. Being that you've been in the business for over 10 years, and you're now a guest on our show, is there a certain type of flair or a certain type of charisma that you feel about our show that you see? Maybe some advice that you can give us, or
actually, guys,
opinion.
I did have fun on. I was only here for a half hour or so, but yeah, it was fun, and you all three sound differently. That's a good thing, and you don't talk over each other. You also let the guests talk when they want to, so I think that's all a big positive. And you guys were very friendly to me when you asked me to come on the show. And charisma is that's not necessarily something you can teach. But yeah, I enjoyed my time here, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And if it's okay, we'll have you back on the show very soon.
Sure.
Okay.
Can I submit a question for Ivan Koloff?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sure. You should be calling in, and I guess about 2 minutes, so we can just keep you online. Keep you online, and when he calls in, we'll let you ask him.
All right. I was going to give. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all. Shimblade, you have something you wanted to add?
Actually, since we're off the interview and waiting for Ivan Koloff, I actually had a situation last weekend at 1CW where I was interviewing Kendrick Kamari, the Vampire Demon, and apparently I was the only one there while you two were at the airport trying to catch up with what was it, Hotline of Hustlers?
Yeah.
And I was attacked during that interview that I did, and by Kendrick, and also I was attacked leaving the arena by both Kendrick Kamari and Jack Cole. I just got a message today from the owner, Stevie Ray Styles, saying that in the next show there will be some discipline for Kendrick Kamari, and to tell you the truth, I will be there with him to deliver a message to him too.
All right.
All right.
I just want to get that off my chest.
Understandable.
Well, everybody's getting everything off their chest. Anything you want to get off your chest?
No, not really. I just want to say real quick, if we have the time, the 1CW and to ACW, we went to both Friday and Saturday. Under the Mat was there. We had a great time, great shows. Shout out to Skull from Riot City for winning the ACW Heavyweight Championship. And the guys from 1CW, great show. Congratulations to Hotlanta Hustlers for gaining the tag champions, tag belts. Just both great shows. Can't wait to go back and be a part of the greatness that those guys bring to the table. So.
And
with that being said, sorry, Shen. I'll let you finish. We will have now bringing in right now live, the legend himself, former WWF World Heavyweight Champion, former Canadian Heavyweight Champion, the great man himself, the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. Welcome, sir, to Under the Mask Radio.
Hey, comrade, how you doing? Comrade Evans.
Hey, how you
doing? Good.
Hey.
Man, I'm just blessed to be here. After 50 years of wrestling, I got to pinch myself every day just to let myself know that I'm still kicking. You know what I mean?
Thank you. We feel very honored to have you on our show.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Real quick, before we start things off, we have a good buddy of ours from In Your Head Wrestling, Jackie Jones. He wanted to ask you a question real quick, if that's fine.
All right. Hey, Jackie, how you doing?
Good, thanks. Now I read your biography a few years ago, and it was a great book. And you talked about something in that book. You talked a lot about a lot of things, but that used to put the blade underneath your tongue. And I was just wondering if you ever had any, if you ever cut your own mouth, or if any accidents occurred from doing so.
No, I can't recall any as far as, that's why I ended up carrying it there, simply because it became too much of obstacle, I think a weapon type thing on the fingers. And just so the fans know, the reason why I ended up doing this is the promoters always allowed you a little bit more money whenever there was blood. We call it juice, of course, and if you made your opponent bleed or you bled, the opponent, you'd end up getting extra money, because I'm sure the promoter figured that make the people more excited, and it's above and beyond the Call of Duty type thing. So instead of carrying on my fingers, I found that, or my wrists and the side of some tape on my finger, I found that to be real awkward. What I did end up going to using that, and for many years I ended up not even considering that. I ended up just doing it the hard way. I'd kind of run into the cage or hit the post in a way that end up, making myself bleed, by just being rough and figuring that that's excitement to the match. But after I had situations where I ended up hitting the bell, like, for the timekeeper's bell, I took that one day, and when my head hit it, there's a bolt that sticks up to the top of it, and I ended up running my head into that bolt, and it stuck to, and the bell came up in the air and dropped off my head, so it was obviously, I hit it very hard. And I remember one match with Bruno Sammartino, matter of fact, I think I hit that cage probably 2 or 3 dozen times at least during the match, and never ever got blood. There was never ever any blood in a cage match. You figure we definitely going to be blood, but I hit that full steam. Next morning I got up. I mean, my whole head was swollen, red, all over my body. I had like red marks, and where I ended up bruising it from hitting the cage. But no, I ended up going to carry my butt there for the last several years, maybe over half of my career, because I just found that be more comfortable, keep it out of the way. But you did. Of course, I had to concentrate and make sure I didn't swallow it, type thing like that. But you get used to it after a while, and it made it a lot easier.
Well, thanks for answering my question. Red turns to green, I believe this. Yeah.
Thanks, Jackie Jones. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Ivan Koloff. First, just like I said, thank you for being on. I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, NSC Game Boy, so he can start off with a question.
Sure.
Oh, cool. Well, Mr. Koloff, my first question to you is this: with your character being, of course, not from the United States and everything, and explain to our guests how hard it was back in the day with the big Cold War, and some of the troubles that you might have had to go through because of how hated your character was in the storylines.
Oh, well, a lot of interesting stories, and I tell a lot of them in my book. Is that Wrestling Fake, the Bare Facts by Evan Koloff, that you can get through Scott Teal, crowbarpress.com, crowbar press, just like the word crowbar, all one word, press.com. I ended up finding out over the years that, and real quick, because I ended up in Montreal, you can't get any wilder fans than there, simply because a lot of the arenas they wrestled in was ice arenas where they played hockey, and drinking was allowed in there, and so the fans usually had a few, and they'd end up getting really upset, especially if you're beating their hero up, and just about everybody was their hero compared to me, because like you're just saying, the Cold War and all. I can remember riots, Ernie the Cat Lad, myself. The fans got so upset, looked like we were going to beat their champions, the Rougeos, for the tag team belts, and 2 out of 3 fall. After the second fall, we already had won 1 fall, and were disqualified the second fall, and the Rougeos are bleeding. The people couldn't take it anymore. They rioted and filled the ring up with cheers. I ended up, we took off for the dressing room, and of course I even said to the cat, Ernie the Cat Lad, I said, "Cat, what are we going to do with these crazy people?" And he just said, "Grab a chair, kid. Use it as a weapon. Use it as a shield, a weapon. Like they block, and they get too close, you whack them with it." And I did, because I seen that they're very intent people, and they're trying to hurt us. We made our way back to the dressing room, but I was the last one to go through the doors, and here comes a chair, and I had to look around to see what was going on behind me, curiosity, and in this case, curiosity killed the bear. The chair hit me right to the nose. Oh, I just took my nose off. I had to get a bunch of stitches there. But anyway, that was a riot there that I'll never forget. Matter of fact, 2 or 3 times, a bad situation in the Montreal area in that 2.5 years I was there. Ended up another time in Three Rivers, Quebec, where they ended up, somebody in the audience was shooting nails bent over, and the nail on an elastic band. And I mean, this is a very dangerous thing. They're going to hit a kid, or they could hit a fan. But he ended up being a pretty good shot, I guess. He got me right in the head. And I got to the dressing room, and I felt the same burning in my head. And looked in the mirror, and there was a nail stuck in my head. And luckily it was bent, because the sharp end got in the skin and lodged in my head anyway. And a lot of situations like that. Just having to physically fight with people going to the ring and coming back, because most of the area, even when I got down to the Mid-Atlantic area here in the Carolinas, I always tried to keep a big partner, a guy that was known to be a good fighter, Ray Stevens, guys like Dick Murdoch, Sweet Hansen, guys that could, had a good punch, and I just fit myself right in behind him. But Roddy Piper, of course, he was one of my tag team partners. A lot of guys. I had a lot of tag team partners, and I figured out it was one of the most important things in tag teams is to have a guy that was reliable to watch your back, and you had to watch his, because guys have got knifed in the ring before, and it was the type of thing that you depend on your partner looking out for you a lot of times. And, so to answer your question, that very, very hot situations as far as the Cold War. We could top it all off, of course, against Bruno at the Gardens, being he was so loved by the people. Whenever the 1, 2, 3 knee drop off the top I gave to him, he was defeated. They couldn't believe it. They went quiet, the people. Just quiet, just like that. when it happened, before they started filling the ring up with chairs in Montreal, they ended up that type of feeling, and I knew it was a bad situation if we didn't react quick. And the referee did the right thing. He just wouldn't get the belt out there. He just said, he raised my hand real quick, told me to get back to the dressing room. I said, "Where's the belt?" And then he said, "Do you hear the people?" And I said, "No."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "That's why you don't get the belt now." He says, they're really mad at you. So I went back to the dressing room, of course, and like a lot of people know about it there now, but it was bad too. We had to fight our way out of the basement. We always got a cab, or you parked your car down in the basement of the old Madison Square Gardens, and we had to literally run for our lives when we got in the cab, because the people had come through the big door when they let the cab come in, and they're after us. They're trying to upset the cab, and me and the captain, Lou Albano, was hightailing out of there, and the taxi driver cooperated, got out of there pretty quick, and I was glad of that. But the fans really get. And back in those days, they got really upset. It was like a riot. That's the only way to explain it. Puerto Rico wrestled down there. They'd take the seat apart even, just to have a weapon to throw it at you as you're going to the ring. Nuts or bolts out of the seat, and all kinds of crazy stuff thrown at us.
One to ask too is, a lot of people looked you up on YouTube. Had a lot of fans that interested in hearing you talk, and I will say back in the day with kayfabe, it was a big surprise to me, because I never remember you. I don't know if you ever played a good guy. I always remember you being evil and being a bad guy. And my memories that you was the NWA Mid-Atlantic days of the Russians with Nikita Koloff and Crushing Khrushchev, Barry Dorso, and you was speaking Russian, and you was mad, and you would be more so the talker when it came to the interviews. And since how I got a chance to finally talk to you off air personally, I was like, wow, this guy's pretty nice. So, growing up, seeing someone that you played a mean guy all the time, and you played your part very well, kind of find out you're a really good guy. That really show, how great of a job you did of playing a character as a heel, and opposed to, who you really are.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I ended up, like I tell a lot of people now today, the reason why I was always the bad guy, never played a good guy, is the promoter told me when they first seen me, they said, "No, you got to be a heel, you got to be a bad guy, because you're too ugly to be a baby face, you're a good guy." So I took him at that, and I agreed with him after I looked in the mirror. But yeah, really, it's just, I think I felt bad, and it's really odd, because I was really an introvert, shy kid. Come from a family of 10 kids, raised on the farm, and there was just a lot of hard work, and learned how to fight, wrestle, or whatever you call it. I guess back in those days, it'd be wrestling, I guess, because my brothers, I was the middle child, sisters or whatever, they'd try to find out how tough I was by, oh, you want to be a wrestler, you're going to be a wrestler, big champion, right? And I'd have to end up getting in a real fist fight with them, and we'd end up having bloody eyes, black eyes, sometimes bloody noses and all this, just from my sincerity. Because I was 8 years old whenever I realized I wanted to be a wrestler, because I seen it on television. Not that we had it at home, because we didn't have electricity or TV or anything like that until I was a teenager. But I remember mother and father taking us to a friend's place that had a television, about 1950, and black and white little box, and I remember wrestling was on, and man, after that night, that's all I had in my mind. I wanted to be a wrestler. My mom didn't help. Actually, in a way, she really did help, but she had ended up calling me her little champion. That's my boy, my little champion. He's gonna be a championship wrestler one time. So all my brothers and they did all Mama's boy. To this day, my brothers call Mama's boy. And I said, "Oh, thank you." Yes, to me, it's an honor being the Mama's boy, because I figured that Mama's always encouraged me to end up being a champion. So it made me really intent on gaining the weight and working on hard at the gym, because Because when I went to the wrestling school at just turning 19 years old, I was only like 183 pounds, and the guy that was training, owned the gym, Jack Wentworth in Hamilton, Ontario, he said to me, he says, you got to gain some weight, kid. You're not big enough for a wrestler. And I said, how much weight do I have to gain? He said, well, if you put on 30 pounds, I'll start training you. It was only took me about a month to put on 30 pounds because in 6 months later, I was 270 pounds, and I was bench pressing just about 400 pounds and squatting 500 pounds. And he was so impressed that he started ahead of time to train me to be a wrestler. He seen that I was force feeding myself and protein shakes and meals every day. I go crazy trying to gain weight, but it worked. It worked, and I'm glad it did. But man, it was. As it turned out, I ended up wrestling as an Irishman for the first, since '62, right on up to '67 when I went to Montreal. And the reason for that was I never thought I looked like a Russian or could wrestle as a Russian, you know. And Jacques Rougeau from Montreal, the brother to the promoter, he was in Japan when I got my first tour over there in '67, and we became friends. And he told me, "Why don't you become a Russian? Shave your hair off of your head and leave your beard, because you look a little bit like Lenin, you know, that old leader of Russia." And I said, "Yes, sir." He called his brother up and booked me on the spot because by this time I was 300 pounds, and he was very impressed that I was so aggressive in the ring for a big guy. Even though I'm short, I was only 5'10", but I was up over 300 pounds, and he'd seen how intent I was. That they just on his word had me come into Montreal, and I became the Russian. And man, it was great because right from the start they had me go from the dressing room out to the ring, run round and round the ring while they announced my opponent, and they announced me. I jump in the ring, beat up my opponent, put him in an inverted backbreaker over my shoulder, dump him, and run around the ring, ran 4 or 5 times, run back to the dressing room. I did that for about a year, just I guess while I was, get the people to know me, and it really worked because they ended up selling out a lot of places and doing real well. Mm-hmm. That was the start to get into New York, and wrestling is my hero, Bruno Sammartino, the legend. He was a guy I followed from the time he became champion in '63. Matter of fact, the time of Koloff, I got a chance to wrestle him in '63 in Pittsburgh on television. And I was just new out of the wrestling school and pretty green, and I was tricked into by the guys in the dressing room. They pulled the rib on me to go out there and attack him. When he go down to the corner in prayer, Bruno, before every match, I would attack him, and I thought that was a good idea, so I did it. But they were just pulling my leg, and I ended up. I never forget Bruno looking up at me like, he said, "Man, you crazy kid, what are you doing?" you know, and I wasn't a kid no more. I was a grown man, you know, like up around 300 pounds. So I ended up really kicking him and punching him hard. But about after 5 minutes, the match was over because Bruno made a comeback, and he showed me why he was the champion. But he threw me around like a rag doll. But, yeah, I enjoyed. By this time, I had really become used to being, the bad guy, and the people boo at me, or it was just maybe loosen up that much more. I just thought, shut up, you stupid American, all this stuff,
Oh, with that, our correspondent Shimbley had a question for you also.
Yes, Mr. Koloff, we met in 2007 at the Magnum TA show in Chesapeake, Virginia. I remember meeting you. I remember meeting you and Nikita Koloff, and I remember Nikita Koloff coming to the Norfolk Scope at times when I visit from Hawaii. I realized that also for a fact. I was just looking over the notes that you wrestled in WWF title matches against Sammartino, Morales, Graham, and Backlund, which you were like the only guy to do so. But also, you are a born-again Christian, and I wanted to get your story of how did that come to be?
Well, it's I appreciate you bringing it up because to me that's the only reason I'm alive today. I believe is just the grace of Almighty God because I really went off the deep end later on in my career. It seemed like I started off thinking it was all right to have a sociable beer after the matches. Pretty soon it was a 6-pack. Long trips it was a 12-pack. And got some injuries about 1972, 73 in Minnesota when I was wrestling out there. The guys like Black Jacks were out there, Crusher, Bruiser, and guys like that. And I ended up getting a back injury against Billy Robinson and Wahoo McDaniels, me and Superstar Billy Graham. And I ended up being out of commission for about 2 months, but because it squashed a disc back there was pinched or something, and really a lot of pain. But I ended up, I think, just sucking it up and taking, doctor gave me pills for pain, for sleep and that. Yeah, you know, the story goes, you get addicted to some of that stuff, and in the street you can get it all the time. So it wasn't only booze now, but I went to the pills, and then pretty soon it was marijuana and cocaine, and pretty soon it's like you're selling it so you get yours for free, and then believing all those lies of the devil that, you know, that's what you do, you know, it's all right. Everybody does it, you know, but that's not true. It's the idea that I was falling for a lie. I ended up getting very bad shape to the point that I was carrying a gun, a big machete in the back of my car. And I even chased some guys off a couple times, and it came in handy because I think they were out to rob me, and they got disappointed, discouraged real quick when I pulled out the machete, especially from the back seat. But in any case, I got to the point over the years to, especially when I got into the heavy stuff like the cocaine and all that, and selling and all this, that I was very dangerous because I got into fights in bars overseas and the airplane. I could tell some of the stories in my book and everything. I don't tell all of them, but I told about some of them anyway, just enough to know, let the reader know or the fan know that, man, if you believe those lies of the devil, you'll end up dying somewhere, you know, get killed or hurting somebody real bad. And I know there's got to be hundreds of times, not thousands of times, I ended up getting home, getting up the next day, and I drove the car, and I couldn't remember driving home. So, and situations, you know, that there were, I mean, I don't even consider myself a tough guy or a great fighter or anything like that. I guess average or whatever, but whenever you get in fights in airplanes and bars and overseas and that, you know, there's a lot of tough guys out there. It's a wonder I didn't get my head knocked off. But ended up, I was racist. I had some work for doing. I realize it more and more today than what I'm doing because that one day after I quit the WCW in '89, I went to the independent circuit and wrestling to, you know, small shows. Did that for up until 2 years ago, and ended up. I still make appearances, but just ended up having a battle within myself to get off the drugs, the alcohol, chewing tobacco, and all this stuff. I wanted to clean up my life because I was getting to the point, a lot of injuries, and going in my late 40s, you know, 50s, and early 50s. It was thing that Nikita knew about, my nephew, and I didn't realize that he had become a Christian himself. But he called me one day and he says, Uncle Ivan, you know, we were visiting and phone. He says, I know what you need in your life. And I said, what are you talking about, Nicky? He says, you need Jesus in your life. And I said, I was raised in church. My mom and dad made me go to church every week. He says, well, the devil knows who Jesus is too, but that doesn't make him a Christian. You got to ask him to commit to your heart, to your life, forgive you of your sins, and live for him, like, you know, like, to change and allow him to work in you to change you. And, well, that made sense to me. I said, yeah, okay, I'll come to the church. Said, you want me to go to a revival next night, matter of fact, Sunday night in Kannapolis, and I ended up taking him up on it and going there, kept my word, and ended up, what the preacher had to say made sense to me, and ended up coming up front, receiving Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I ended up, after that, being a little confused, but yet understood what I was supposed to do, get into the Word, the Word ends up pushing out all the garbage out of my, body, out of my, life, and putting in God's Word. And what it does is give you the faith enough to be able to do the stuff. God leads you along, and you walk, and man, it was like throwing away the chewing tobacco. Didn't have to drink no more marijuana, no more, and I couldn't afford the cocaine anymore, and I wasn't definitely not selling it anymore. So it was the type of thing that, my life was cleaning up, and he's still working on me, of course. But as far as anything like that, I only take what the doctors prescribe for me, and I'm real cautious about that even, because I had a car accident here 7-8 years ago, which totaled the car, and it was really weird because I figured when I seen it coming, I was going to die. And I called out to Jesus. That's the only chance I had to say anything was just Jesus, and that was enough because he kept me alive. Broke 6 ribs, my sternum, had ruptured some discs in my back. To this day, I've never gotten the surgery on my back. And had a couple arthroscopic surgeries to my knee and one shoulder operated on 34 years ago, but and I need operations, I know that, but you get to a certain point, the people tell you that give you advice, and they say, wait till you get as old as you can before you have those, because, they're not always do the right thing for you. The operations are, here I am, 72 now, and I haven't had all these operations, but obviously I'm doing the right thing because God keeps me going, and I have a chance now and a change of life. Have a good wife that loves the Lord, and grandbaby. My youngest daughter's a gospel singer. If people want to go up to her site and check her out, highwayrevival.com is the name of our group. My son-in-law, Philip, Marley, and Rachel, they're great. And their kids, Kara, who's 12 years old, Melissa, 8 years old. Man, they're great singers too, and they sing along with them in church. And they're just a great example of living life right. God does bless you, and He's turned my life around altogether. Not only having a good wife to encourage me and walk, light of the Lord, but the idea of the things that's put in front of me. I got ordained here 8-9 years ago and officiate weddings there now and speak at churches and tell them about my life and the idea of the goodness of the Lord and what He can do for them if they'll allow Him to do it. And man, it's just such a thrill. We do a thing now where it was a concept of a $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He's a Christian. Sting and Nikita, Lex Luger, a bunch of the guys that became Christians, Greg the Hammer, rock and roll. Anyway, what we do is we go out now, something like the Power Team. If people out there know what the Power Team is, they end up Christian group, big strong guys that go bend bars and break ice and show off their strength. We end up going in and having wrestling matches at these different shows, churches sponsor type of thing, and we end up people come to the matches to watch wrestling, and after we give them a couple of short testimonies of some of these legends of myself or some of these other guys, and the people, of course, are taking interest in it to understand where we're going, what's going on, and we end up giving them a little sermon, why the importance of having Christ in your life, what Jesus did, the Son of God, went and paid the price for us by dying on the cross, and so now we have a chance to be able to live our life with the supernatural power of Almighty God, because Jesus won the victory. And man, if you were to tell me that years ago, until my drugs and alcohol and all that, I'd probably spoof at it, wouldn't believe it, but I've lived it. I'm a living example of what God can do, and still, like I say, still working on it. Thank you, Jesus, for that. And He answers prayers. It seems like every day that different things happen that, man, I'm amazed by. But just the idea of being able to go out now and sincerely coming from my heart, just encouraging your young people, kids, and even older adults, just praying with them and just telling them, that there's somebody, there's something, and God loves them, that He's got a reason for Him to be here, and what we have to do is accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior and come into His family and really, it's such a joy for me to do that. When I'm signing autographs, they encourage a kid, man, I believe you're going to be successful one day. You're going to be famous one day. I'm going to see you on television. What do you like to play? Football? Basketball? And I said, no, I want to be a movie actor. So that's what I thought. It's just the idea that you encourage them. They go with big smiles come on their face, and then, that's it for us kids. We all want to be able to dream, and by somebody that they look up to ends up telling them there's somebody and that Jesus is important to have in their life, and they're bound to listen. So it's a great life to compare it to the past. It's no comparison.
That's good. And we're glad that the Lord has blessed you in your life and turned your life around, that you've been able to be an influence and be able to help out people of all ages, the kids, and it's a blessing to see that some of the boys that are in the business too, Sting, Teddy DiBiase, Nikita Koloff, and some others that you're able to work with your peers now to be able to send out the same message to people. Real quick, I want you to talk about your documentary. My good buddy Michael Elliott, I know he's done a lot of great documentaries before, and I know you have did some work with him about your upcoming documentary. If you can, talk real quick about the documentary, about your career.
Yeah, I'm excited about the documentary coming out. He ended up approaching me, Michael, about doing it, and he had done one for Rock and Roll, the documentary with them and about their life, and I said, yeah, definitely, that'd be great, yeah. And he was sincere about it, and I said to send me an email the other day. He should be done with it about the beginning of the year, and should be out there in the market, and I'd encourage people to end up getting it, because I think they'd be touched with the idea of the different guys that's on there talking about me or talking for me or whatever it may be. Maybe some of them even knock me. I haven't seen it yet. They're proud, but it doesn't matter. The truth sometimes hurts, but it's important. And I really think that things like this right there now at this point in my life, to have the chance to be able to have people get to really know how God could work to take somebody that, even though it was wrestling and it's a control thing nowadays more so than ever, it's more like show business and that. But back in the day, it was. I mean, they're serious today. I marvel at what these young guys and their athleticism and also their shape they're in, and all what stuff they go over the top rope, the barriers, and hit their heads over and coming off the top rope. I mean, just crazy stuff. And just to see them to be able to do that, to me is great. But back in our time, it was some solid stuff going on. I remember locking up the first time with some guys like Vern Gagne, that was Olympic type of wrestler, AAU champ, and he all haul off, and the first thing he did is slap me in the ear and bust my eardrum. And
wow.
if you never felt pain, you sure feel pain then, and just like loss of balance and everything. And I said to myself, I heard this guy was a tough guy, but he's going to find out if I got anything in me tonight, because I was 300 pounds and bench pressing and working on the weights where I was. I was in pretty good shape, so I just started kicking and punching him as hard as I could. And the message that came back to the dressing room after the match was, "That's the way I like it, kid. Lay him in there." I said to myself, what have I got myself into? I'm into wrestling, and the guy that's the champion is busting my eardrum and telling me to lay him in. And I found that out to be the old guys, a lot of them were like that. Luthez, guys like Eddie Graham, and one of the toughest guys ever, Danny Hodge. But I mean, they didn't have to, because most of them were great wrestlers, but they did it because I think to really make the reality of wrestling convincing to the people out there, and they sure did it with me. I know that, because when you get your eardrums busted or dislocated shoulder, or torn ligaments and ribs and ankles broken, like I'm sitting here right today, and I'm not even a tough guy. I figured, man, what these tough guys, how they can live through all that. But yeah, it's just great to be at a point there now, and I'd really encourage it for anybody just to consider that no matter what shape they're in, what condition they're in at the time, whether it's drugs, alcohol, the idea that they had a bad upbringing, a drunken father, mother, or whatever, drugs or whatever, realize that you can overcome it. You just ask the Lord to come into your life and help you do it. He'll do it too. But with me, it's go ahead.
I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say I was going to bring in real quick. I know we showed on time to bring in George. I'm sorry, NSC Game Boy for the last question.
Yes.
Hey,
well,
George.
my last question to you is this: we've talked about the past, and we talked about, of course, your documentary and your book and everything. My latest question to you is now the present. In the wrestling world, there's been a lot of backlash with the big names. TNA gaining a new television deal, WWE with the network and losing subscribers and everything. Vince McMahon publicly saying how his sports entertainment, his father did pro wrestling. He really is not a fan of wrestling. And a lot of these indie promotions, which is a lot where you visit at and get a chance to meet the fans, the young ones, and do signings and autographs and stuff, of course, is booming. My question to you is that what advice can you give to those young kids who's listening, the young kids who's in the indie business and stuff, and who's listening to these businesses pretty much say, it's not about wrestling no more, it's about sports entertainment and everything. What advice do you think you can give them of clarity so they can move forward with their career?
Yeah. I really think to become successful in it today, that I would always advise the idea of get your education too. Keep that in mind as the number one priority before even the wrestling school. I'd say have that in the works for the college, and so that you got something to fall back on. And if nothing else, education helps you to negotiate contracts, to be up on it, because you got to do interviews and negotiate with these promoters, and who knows where it's going to go in the future. But definitely get your education. I would say stay away from the drugs and the alcohol, because that's just going to end up hurting not only your life but your career. It's going to end up ruining it, because it's just a tool of the devil. That's all it is. And if you're going to do it seriously and end up being successful at it by staying away from that stuff and getting an education. If something did happen on the road that you weren't able to continue wrestling, you'd fall back on your education and something else. But just to go out there and if a guy feels like he wants to be a wrestler and he sees what they're doing today with wrestling, whether it's on the independent circuit or what. If you want to end up making money with it, of course you got to realize you got to do what Vince is doing and stuff like that. That's where the big money is. Big money compared to what I made over my career. If we had a $200,000 a year, even if you were a champion over the years, that was a lot of money. And it was a lot of money but today compared to some of these guys that's making millions, it's not. Because now they're reaching out to more people because of pay-per-views, there's royalties as far as all the merchandise. There's the idea of becoming like The Rock or something like that, movies or whatever. There's a lot of possibilities. So I would say keep your head on the level and don't get goofy with it or taking drugs and all that. Just take it one day at a time. Get into a good gym, work out, and build your body up. Get the education. When the time comes, go to a good wrestling school. Some that maybe has got the door that can open the door for you to go to the WWE or something. And most of them are good. And it's the idea that you end up, when the time comes, you got to end up going to their school anyway for them to take a look at you. And it might cost you a few grand there, but if you got some potential, you'll get it back pretty quick. But it ends up, I think that's the best advice I could give the kids today is this. If you're going to be serious about it. But if not, if you're just going to play with it on the independent circuit, take care of yourself. Don't get all messed up with the drugs and alcohol and enjoy it, have fun with it, and who knows, maybe even though you're not serious at this time, you might have something that is going to turn around to be a real success with Vince and maybe whoever's up there with the big organization when the day comes,
And real quick, Mr. Ivan Koloff, before we let you go, we're going to let our correspondent ask you one last question.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Koloff, you have worked in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation under Vince Sr. My question to you is, you worked under Vince Sr. I don't know if you worked under Vince Jr., or should I say Vince Kennedy McMahon, but what is your analysis between the two under Vince Sr., the way he went about business, and Vince Jr. as the way he went about business as far as wrestling was concerned?
Yes, first of all, both of them I really like because they're all business. They're good businessmen. They related good to the wrestlers. Senior, I always had a smile. I always had a handshake for even the preliminary guy. And Junior, for the time I went there in '69, he was a commentator. Yeah, I think he had just come into it with his dad, and he was always there. He was always instrumental in the promotion, learning it, but also input also. And I know he wanted to go that other direction like he is today with more Hollywood stuff and that, but he's proven himself to be right. He's taken it from $1 million business to $1 billion business, but I think that the big difference is the idea of the money, the people it reaches. It's worldwide now, and that a person evaluating who's better, who's worse, it's hard to do because I think Junior was very instrumental when his dad was part of it as far as the promotion. Because when you got a commentator that's good like that, not only to help with the interviews being so important to drawing the people in, Junior was the greatest at that because he got so experienced that he knew how to accentuate the guys, with their gimmick or whatever their persona is, to be able to be the greatest in their area. And to me, that was a big help. I actually worked with both of them in the sense that Junior was always there. He was part of it. When I came back in the 80s from the Middle East after wrestling Bob Backlund and went over there to the Middle East and wrestled, that's the time I got a little too much in the plane trip and ended up fighting with one of the other wrestlers anyway. It's another story. It's in the book anyway, but I ended up realizing that when I was there and I came back from the Middle East, Junior was the one that asked me about if I would stay longer in New York. And at that time, I blew out a knee and easy to go back. And I had it scoped out twice before, but it was locking up on me. And I felt like if I could just go and get that taken care of in a few weeks just to heal up, I could come back, But I guess he wanted something right then. I didn't know it at the time, but I found out later that it was very important that I should have stayed, but I wasn't told why at the time, just that he asked me to stay longer. But he was always part of it. Like, if we went over talking about stuff, business, he was always there at the dinners, and his input was very valuable, I think. And his dad, I think, really appreciated his interest in the business and helping him in the promotion. I think they worked together real good and ended up making it what it is today. Yeah. So you can't really say which one's better. They're great, both of them. And Vince is still proving himself to be, on top of everything. So I think it's great what they're doing today.
Well, Mr. Ivan Koloff, it's been a pleasure and an honor, definitely, to have you on the show. We do ask that, we're able to, we can have you back on very soon so we can go over more about your career, if that's fine.
Well, I appreciate it. If I could just mention, people can go to my site, ivankoloff.com.
Yeah.
And, I got a couple of Facebooks. Most people are aware of it. on Twitter and all that stuff. But my site, I have the ministry that I talk about, going out and trying to encourage kids and all this stuff. Besides officiating weddings, but if anybody wanted to go to my website, ivankoloff.com, and help with my expenses as far as ministry is concerned, that'd be appreciated. We could do it through PayPal or whatever, directly to my address on there, and it's Bear Witness for Christ Ministries, being the bear, right? To get that in there. Bear Witness for Christ Ministry, and we just it would really be appreciated, and it's a big help towards. I've been doing autographs for Children's Miracle and such for 22 years now, and part of my cleaning up process, and I'm so appreciated for organizations like that because have helped not only my grandbabies, but a lot of kids, a lot of people, from incubators to the idea of operations and such. So it's hard not to have a big feeling for them and to try to help back, but people would like to do that. My book is, like I say, on crowbarpress.com. The author, Scott Teal, be glad to send you one and take care of that part of it. I keep running out of them. He sends me a box every once in a while, and I bring them out there, but they go pretty fast. So, and I think they make a good gift idea. But and if anybody in this area, North Carolina, South Carolina area, like me to officiate a wedding or renew their vows or whatever, I'd be glad to do that, or come to speak at their churches. And that's the same with my daughter and highwayrevival.com. They're available. They're out there every Sunday, Saturday, whatever it takes, singing up the road. So they can lay it out there, and check their site out to realize how good they are. And I appreciate you guys even having me on tonight, just to be able to say hello to the fans and all those years. Me being the bad guy. Them hating Nathan. This is great.
No problem, sir. Thank you for your time. Tell your family we send out some best wishes, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
God bless
you.
Happy New Year.
You do the
Thank
same.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Everybody, that was the Russian Bear, the great legend of the business, Ivan Koloff. Real quick, this is where I'm going to bring in correspondent Shimblade. If I'm correct, Ivan Koloff isn't a part of the WWE Hall of Fame, is he?
No, I don't think so, but I think he's well deserved, despite a few others.
Yes, I definitely do agree with that. Real quick, NSC Game Boy, your thoughts of having the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff?
Well, we've seen Ivan Koloff a few times, and we finally got him on the show. It was good to him to give insight about, the book, his book, which, people please go grab it, the documentary, and, about the pitfalls in the business and the indies and on the professional level. It's still there. So, you got some good insight and some good advice to take with you, fans out there who really want to take it seriously. It's not a game. Definitely.
Well, with that, also, we have been to independent shows where, we have our friends who are independent wrestlers, and, they're, bright and everything, want to work. And then, you have some people that just there so they can get paid and heavy medicate themselves. I mean, we talk about it. Many people talk about this so many times where you see people backstage and it's like lights on, nobody's home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. I would say, no, big ups. First of all, want to give big ups to Michael Elliott. He is the producer and owner of Elbow Productions. A lot of great documentaries. Please check him out. The NWA documentary he did, the documentary on the Rock and Roll Express. He's currently working on Nikita Koloff. I'm sorry. Currently working on Ivan Koloff's documentary, which will be coming out next year. He's currently working on another documentary of a wrestling legend, which I can't mention right now. I can't mention publicly, but I do know who it is. So there's a lot of good things coming up, and definitely can't wait for more things. So we thank Michael Elliott for that, for doing great documentaries. He's also been Uh, his work has been praised and been helped out by Bill Apter and a bunch of other legends in the business. So thanks, Michael Elliott, for being a good friend, personally and professionally. Ivan Koloff, good dude. Like you said, he sounds nothing like you remember him back in the day at all. And when I know NSC Game Boy, I know you got to meet him briefly in New Orleans, and we got a chance to talk to him off air. Then he realized it was him. So he could have said he was anybody else and wouldn't have knew, would have believed it. But real quick, first memories when you think of Ivan Koloff, NSC Game Boy, Shemblade, what's your first immediate thought that comes to your mind?
Well, go ahead, Shen. You can go first.
I think personally to me is between the title win, which was very controversial back in the day, and actually not to put a current wrestler on blast, but this is before he shocked people with ending the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Ivan Koloff was the first to do that. He shocked fans to the point where they didn't even tell people who was the new champion in the arena. They rushed him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything Game Boy, your first thoughts?
Well, the mostly thing I remember was like a lot of his matches. He was very, very angry. He had this look where he was very believable. You know what I'm saying? And even nowadays, with the bald head and stuff, I mean, he, as you can see, he's in the 70s, of course, but he's just a really, really tough guy back in the day, and his matches was really insightful because, like, he hurt people, and that's the pro wrestling that, we all, kind of miss. Like, yeah, he hurt people. So, I mean, it was definitely that's what stood out to me the most.
Like I said, all my all my memories of Ivan Koloff is NWA. I know he wrestled against Bruno, and I watched some old matches from the old WWF. But I was thinking of Russians in NWA with Nikita Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev, Barry Dorsey, who ended up being more famous for the younger fans of Repo Man or Demolition. I believe it was Demolition Smash. I believe so. Ivan was a good dude. Funny, I did see a funny video where Ivan Koloff slapped Pat Patterson. It was on YouTube. So I did my research, and it was a lot of Ivan Koloff clips that clearly it's almost impossible to watch. All the stuff he's done. If you ever get a chance, and we'll try to post it, is you get to watch the Rock and Roll Express versus Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev. One of us to try to post it. It happened in 1989 in North Carolina. Great match from back in the day. Back when tag team wrestling was great. So, real quick, I know we're going to have one of our good old buddies calling in. We'll have a plug. NSC Game Boy going to bring them in live, and you can introduce.
I'm waiting to get the call that they're calling in. So,
just
real quick.
I'm here.
On the line
okay.
now.
Oh.
She's here. All right.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, sweetie. How you doing?
Hello. Thanks for letting me come on and do this plug. My name is Janae Spencer. I am a local licensed agent in the state of Maryland. I'm serving the Baltimore metropolitan area, which includes Baltimore City, counties, Howard, Hartford, Carroll, Anne Arundel, even all the way down to Montgomery and Prince George's counties. I'm out here trying to help people with their health care. I'm affiliated with a company that has many relationships with many carriers, and I'm able to take those relationships and shop around and customize and come up with a total health care package that addresses people's needs and their budget. And this whole entire health care package includes, first, your health care plan, i.e. United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, then your gap coverages. These are coverages that pay you money for those out-of-pocket expenses that your health care plan doesn't. And lastly, your life insurance. When I sit down with you, I go through your application with you with the Maryland Health Connection and help see if you qualify for a government subsidy, and if you do, how much. And then I put together some packages for you to choose from based off of our conversation about your needs. So if you need that help, everybody, please call or text me. My number is area code 410-588-9856. Again, 410-588-9856. That's it, guys. Thanks.
All right, no problem.
No problem, Janae.
No problem.
Thank you much. Thanks, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good old long-term friend, good old sister of mine, Janae Spencer, doing the great work that she does. With that, I know we had a very busy weekend. We have 5 minutes left real quick. Shimbley, go ahead and give the fans real quick information on announcement for 1CW for their TV deal and about the YouTube page.
Well, I was going to say that I was going to shout out 1CW because we had an accident in the ring last weekend involving a tag team match. And one of the biggest things that NSC Game Boy and I have really, really respected about the company was we had the announcer. I think it was Stevie that came out, and he got on the microphone for all the little kids. He announced that, don't try this at home, which a lot of companies don't do, or they'll just vaguely say it in by way of ads. So I have to give a shout out for them. And also the next taping is on January 31st. I will be making a special appearance on this taping until otherwise, and I have a message that I will be displaying during that show.
Okay. All right.
Meanwhile, I forgot. Please check out our YouTube page. We are. I'm usually adminning most of the time, so I uploaded some interviews. We have Casey Carlisle. We have Lucha Underground superstar Ricky Reyes, who was the first one to sign with Lucha Underground. He's one of Dario Cuarto's henchmen on the show. We met with him. He's a really cool guy. So please click the subscribe button. I have rehauled and made the page. Also, more videos coming, and also road trip videos off of my YouTube page, Shinblade. So check that out and enjoy.
Indeed. Real quick, like you said, big ups to 1CW, Steve Ray Styles, for letting us come on, being a part of the 1CW family. Love y'all definitely much. Always a great blast. We shall be with y'all on January 31st. That show will feature former WWE, WCW talent, former member of the NWO and D-Generation X-Pac, Sean Waltman, and other stars will be added. Big ups to the Jimmy Dream and, of course, ACW Adrenaline Championship Wrestling. Held a very good show on Friday. We got a chance to be involved in the angle. I want to give big ups to Prodigy, Jimmy Morris, thank to Under the Mask Security. Also, NSC Game Boy, I know he tends to take care of more of the security endeavors, so thanks for that. Real quick, fans, don't forget, before we run out of town, next week we will be live, same time, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We will have Eric Spears, of course, former, will come back on the show, and we will also have current Ring of Honor superstar and former NFL player Moose will be joining us from Ring of Honor. That being said, you need to tweet us. Tweet us on @tech_UTMR. Tweet NSC Game Boy at
NSC Game Boy, spelled correctly.
Follow our YouTube page, Under the Mats Radio. Email us at underthematradio@gmail.com. If you do get a chance tonight, please check out Shining Wizard, the show that is currently on air. Simultaneously, check them out later. With all that being said, fans, love you much. We will talk to you next week.
Wait a minute.
Real quick.
You got to
plug
in the sensational thing. Yeah.
Yes, thanks to Ivan Koloff. Much for calling in. Thanks for your head wrestling for Jackie Jones. Shimblade, go ahead.
You can follow me at Twitter at Sensational1, SHINSATIONALONE.
Yes. Try to spell that correctly. Talk to y'all later next week. Talk to you then. Bye.
Don't forget, baby. Amen.
Shalom.
Easy, y'all.
Shalom. I believe you got
Uso meat.
7 minutes. Uso meat, 10 seconds.
Beef or reef?